happens when you fall off the horse and that little voice inside your head just won't let you get back on? Well, that's my true confession today. Stay tuned. Hello, long shot. Welcome to another episode of True Confessions, the show where we talk about real experiences, share real stories from reinvention after divorce, or just reinvention in general, in a lighthearted, entertaining, and hopefully inspiring way. I am Melissa Kramer. I'm your reinvention guide, and this is my story about getting back on the horse, or as I'm showing you here on the long shot, getting back on the mat. So what happens when you're in a really great routine? You're doing something that feels good, that you enjoy, and then that routine gets broken for some reason, whether it's injury, some sort of change in your schedule, illness. I mean, there are so many different reasons, change in your life circumstances. Shit happens, and that can turn your routine upside down. And sometimes those little blips in the radar with the routine can make that routine completely go away. So that's the story that I want to share with you today, because I have been a passionate devotee of Pilates since 2012, when it first came into my life. I immediately just fell in love with the method, with the mental stimulus, the whole system just really spoke to me and resonated with my body, my spirit, and my mind. I loved Pilates so much that I started practicing it 3 days a week with an instructor in a studio. I would go home, I'd get on my mat, I would do my mat work on alternating days quite often. And then when things started changing in my life, I became more regular on my mat practice at home, and I wasn't able to get into the studio as often, but I always made it a priority. I felt so strongly about it, my passion ran so deep, that I became a certified instructor in 2017. And my life was going through a lot of changes from 2015 to where we are right now. Lots of reinvention was going on. Lots of routines were changing. Things were being eliminated from my life. New things were being reestablished. And somewhere throughout that sea of change, the Pilates regularity started also waning. It was sort of this ebb and flow, but I had a fairly semi-regular practice. I was still doing it at least once to 3 times during a 2-week period. I know that's not great. It's not like I was doing it when I was really going full on, but I was still doing it with all of the other things I was doing in my life. Just being honest here in my true confession, right? And then I went on a trip where I did nothing but lay on the beach and eat and drink pretty much. Was not doing any kind of exercise apart from long beach walks. And Pilates wasn't even on my radar. And then I came back, and even though I was back in my regular routine of doing things where Pilates should have been part of that, somehow it just fell off my radar. And when I started realizing that I hadn't done it in a while, a little voice in my head kept me from getting back on the mat. It's that voice that I call the NastyMind. Some of us may call it, the devil on the shoulder or your inner saboteur. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's the voice that holds you back from doing the things that you really want to do, because it's instilling all of these dark, icky, shadowy emotions. It's making you fear. It's making you feel shame. It's making you feel unworthy. And it's making you make excuses. And while it sounds like I'm not taking responsibility for the excuses that I made to not do Pilates by blaming the nasty mind, let's be clear. The nasty mind is all in me. Your inner saboteur is all in you. And it's really, really helpful in my practice, in what I share and what I have seen with others, when you are able to own that responsibility and also not let it embody you and overcome you. So naming it, giving it a name and speaking to it and addressing to it specifically so that it can't control you is a really helpful way to overcome it, to overcome the limitations, because that's what's happening. You're limiting yourself from doing the things that you really want to do, probably things that are outside of your comfort zone, or in the case of getting back on my mat, I was riddled with self-imposed shame. The old shaking the finger, you should be ashamed of yourself. I invested so much time, so much money in just becoming an instructor to completely abandon my own personal practice. And P.S., I also have not been teaching. So it's a twofold thing that I can allow myself, if I let it, I can feel really bad about. I can feel very shameful. And what do you do in the face of shame? Turn the other direction. You just go somewhere else and you don't face that shame, because if you're not looking at it head on, then it's not there. And that is precisely what I was doing in the case of my avoidance of just reinstating my Pilates practice. I can honestly confess and share with you that I don't remember, prior to my reinstating my practice, I don't remember the last time I had practiced prior to that. It had been, I'm guessing, between 18 to maybe even 24 months. I have not done as much as a 100 or a teaser or a full-fledged mat routine. If you are familiar with Pilates, I just named 2 Pilates exercises, and the way that Pilates is designed, there is a very specific, in the classical practice, order of these exercises that you do that make up your Pilates routine in your practice. It's very specific. It is a perfectionist's dream because it is all about precision and striving to reach that, if not perfect, representation of what the ideal of this exercise is. It's reaching the next best level that you can make. You're constantly striving to improve and be better in these very small and deliberate movements. So the idea of that perfection and the idea of that ideal is one of the things that my nasty mind kept reminding me, because I hadn't practiced in so long. I knew I would lose most of my form and my ability. So the shame that I would feel being someone who used to be such a devotee, someone who's a certified instructor, to suddenly be crap, someone who would be tired and shaking after the first exercise, I knew that's what lay ahead if I got back on that mat and started over, because I had let so much time pass. And even months ago, when I started thinking about it, oh gee, I should really just get back on the mat and start doing my Pilates during quarantine with COVID. You're inside. There's so many things that you can do for yourself, like exercise. And guess what I did? I started a really rockin' yoga practice. I found a YouTube video. I found this instructor through that I really enjoyed, and I followed her and did all kinds of great yoga exercises. Not even looking within at what I had, without even needing to watch a YouTube video. I could have just been doing my Pilates, but I wouldn't let myself because I was too ashamed. 2 things really helped drive me to get back on the mat. And this is my advice for you as I share my story of feeling like a loser, feeling like I'd let myself down. Because let's be honest, There is no one judging me. No one's watching me do my Pilates at home. No one is holding me accountable, which makes it even easier to avoid something you don't want to get back into. But it was all my own bottled up feeling that was keeping me from getting back into it. So looking at where I want to be, how I want to show up for myself, how I want to show up for you all, and looking at going into 2021 and what that looked like, taking stock of everything. I missed Pilates so much. I love it. I also really, really love my mentor, the woman who first trained me, who I trained with during the entire time that I was practicing at a studio. I've since relocated my life, and I no longer live near her, so I can't go practice with her. But just my own practice of doing it always makes me think of her. I feel like I'm in the studio. I hear her voice, and it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So that was something else that I really was missing her. So why then, if I love doing it, if I miss her, am I not getting back on the mat? Plus, Pilates is a wonderful exercise. I feel like this is an infomercial for Pilates, but it truly is a wonderful exercise for your body. You do not have to overstrain and overtrain yourself. While you can be injured doing any kind of physical activity, including sleeping, you could pull a muscle in your back for Pete's sakes, but in Pilates, you can really get attuned with your body. You can find those spots that are troubling you, and you can actually help heal them. You can work through a lot of structural, muscular, alignment related issues. And so much of our angst, of our aches and pains in our body comes from the misalignment that we have. And then you walk all funny and things. And I have been grossly misaligned for, well, probably about 18 to 24 months since I've stopped doing Pilates. My body was missing Pilates. My heart and my mind were missing Pilates, but part of my mind wouldn't let me go back because I knew that I wasn't going to be perfect. It was going to be hard. And I also just felt like, well, it's been this long. I mean, really? Why not just go off and do something else again? It's a lot like when you cheat on a healthy eating plan or a diet. You've got that choice. And instead of starting over, it was easier just to not do it until I took that long, hard look in the mirror. And I truly had to look at myself and say, what's your problem? What are you afraid of? And why are you letting the nasty mind keep you from doing something that you love, that you miss, and that feels good, particularly when your body is asking you for it? Like they say, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And you know what? I feel great. I posted about this on social media, on my Instagram recently, and within my Real Rad Women Facebook group, because I think this is really important. Feeling great, overcoming the nasty mind, overcoming that shame and those feelings of regret that were allowing me to hold myself back. To overcome that, to tell my nasty mind to shut up and to realize that it wasn't going to be easy. And I was prepared to get back on and to get started. And if you go to the Real Rad Women Instagram page, you will see a photo that I posted on the first day as a very vulnerable share to show that, you know what, it wasn't perfect. It was far from perfect. I could list so many technical issues with that, which is fine because you have to start somewhere. And it felt great to start. It felt great to get back into the routine. And I can proudly share and confess with you all now that I've been doing Pilates regularly every other day at home, doing my mat work. And I'm thrilled with how my body feels. I'm thrilled with how my heart and how my mind feels because I know that I've overcome what has been holding me back. I've silenced the nasty mind again, and I want to share that with you so that you can take that hard look in the mirror. If there's something that you know you want to be doing that you just can't, you keep talking yourself out of it, you just can't seem to let yourself do it, ask yourself why. What are you afraid of? What's holding you back? And is it really something you can't overcome? Because there's so much bliss and just straight up awesomeness on the other side of that. And I'm here just to tell you and share with you that. Come and join me. Get back on the horse. Get back on your mat. Whatever it is. Don't let the nasty mind, the inner saboteur, any of those little devils or gremlins that may be haunting you, don't let them win, because it feels really good back on the mat. So with that, I'll see you next time. Take care. And if you have a story, if you have a confession, whether it has something to do with shame and overcoming that or anything else, shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you, and maybe I'll even share it on a future episode. All right, I'll see you later. Mwah. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Real Rad Women. Are you in the process of your own reinvention? Visit radnewlife.com to find out more about the resources and support you can receive to help amplify your progress. Find out where you are in your process and exactly what you need to do next to take the steps to move forward, and connect with a community that understands your experience and supports you. Again, visit radnewlife.com. And don't forget to tell your friends about this channel, and don't forget to subscribe.